The door slammed shut behind Isaac with a finality that echoed through every fiber of his being. "Don't you ever come back here, you hear me? No son of mine is going to live like that." His father's voice thundered from inside the house, the words slicing through the quiet evening air of Oak Ridge like a knife. Isaac stood frozen on the front porch of the only home he had ever known, his hands trembling as he clutched the straps of his worn backpack. 22 years old, and in one conversation his entire world had shattered. The confession had come out in a rush after his father found the messages on his phone, messages to a guy from college he had been seeing in secret. There was no yelling match, no chance for explanation. Just rage and rejection. His mother had stood silently in the kitchen, tears in her eyes, but saying nothing to defend him. His younger brother had simply looked away. With nowhere else to turn and only $50 in his pocket, Isaac walked the 2 miles to the Greyhound station in the neighboring town. The bus ride to Pittsburgh felt endless, the city lights blurring through his tears as the rural landscape gave way to urban sprawl. By the time he arrived at the downtown homeless shelter, it was well past midnight. The place smelled of disinfectant and despair, filled with men of all ages seeking a bed for the night. A tired-looking staff member handed him a thin blanket and assigned him a cot in a large room with rows of beds. "Rules are simple," the man said. "No fighting, no drugs, lights out at 11. Breakfast at 6. Isaac nodded numbly, finding his spot among strangers. As he lay there staring at the ceiling, the weight of what had happened crashed down on him. How could his own father, the man who had taught him to fish and fix cars, look at him with such disgust? Was being gay really such a sin that it erased 22 years of being a son? Sleep didn't come easy that night. Whispers and snores filled the room, but Isaac's mind raced with questions about his future. He had no job lined up in the city, no friends nearby, and the small-town values he grew up with now felt like chains. Memories flooded in of family dinners where his father would boast about "my boy, the football player," never knowing the secret Isaac carried. The guilt mixed with anger made his chest tight. He wondered if he should have just stayed silent, kept pretending. But the thought of living a lie forever felt even heavier than the cot beneath him. Morning came too soon. Isaac shuffled into the cafeteria line for watery oatmeal and weak coffee. The room buzzed with quiet conversations, men sharing stories of lost jobs, broken families. He kept his head down, not ready to talk to anyone. That was when he noticed a tall, kind-eyed man in his mid-20s helping serve food. The man moved with calm confidence, smiling at each person as he handed out trays. His name tag read Lincoln. "First time here?" Lincoln asked when Isaac reached the front, his voice warm and steady like a lifeline. Isaac nodded, unable to meet his eyes at first. "Yeah, just got in last night." Lincoln studied him for a moment, then slid an extra apple onto the tray. "Rough night, I bet. Stick around after breakfast if you want. I'm on shift till noon. Sometimes talking helps more than you think." Isaac took the tray and found a corner table, his mind swirling. He didn't plan to open up to a stranger, yet something in Lincoln's easy smile made the walls he had built feel a little less solid. The shelter was supposed to be temporary, a place to regroup before figuring out the next step. But as he bit into the apple, Isaac realized the real battle wasn't finding a roof, it was figuring out who he was without the family that had just thrown him away. Little did he know this ordinary morning in a noisy cafeteria would mark the beginning of everything changing. The days blurred together after that. Isaac spent his mornings filling out job applications at the shelter's resource center, his afternoons walking the city streets handing out resumes to coffee shops and warehouses. Rejections came quick and polite, always the same, "We'll call you." Nights were the hardest, the dormitory lights dimming while doubts whispered louder than the traffic outside. He thought about calling his mother, but the memory of her silence stopped him every time. Was she ashamed too? The question gnawed at him until he couldn't breathe. One evening, after a particularly bad day of job hunting, Isaac sat on the shelter steps staring at the darkening sky. Lincoln appeared beside him carrying 2 cups of coffee. "Mind if I join you?" he asked. Isaac shrugged and Lincoln sat down, handing over the warm cup. "You look like someone carrying the weight of the world. Want to unload a little?" Isaac hesitated, then the words tumbled out. He told Lincoln about Oak Ridge, about his father's rage, his mother's tears, the brother who wouldn't look at him. I thought family was supposed to love you no matter what, Isaac said, his voice cracking. But apparently not if you're gay. Lincoln listened without interrupting, his eyes steady and understanding. When Isaac finished, Lincoln spoke softly. I get it. My dad kicked me out at 18 for the same reason. Took me years to stop hating myself for it. But you know what? The day I stopped waiting for their approval was the day I started living. That conversation stretched late into the night. Lincoln shared pieces of his own story, growing up in a strict household, finding his way through community college, and now volunteering at the shelter while working as a social worker. He didn't push, didn't preach, just listened and offered quiet validation. For the first time since leaving home, Isaac felt seen, not as a disappointment but as a person worth knowing. As they stood to head inside, Lincoln clapped him gently on the shoulder. You're not alone in this, Isaac. Not anymore. Isaac lay on his cot that night, replaying the words. The shelter still smelled the same, the cot still hard, but something inside him had shifted just a fraction. The crisis that had sent him here was far from over, but for the first time, he could imagine a path forward, one that didn't require erasing who he was. Tomorrow he would keep applying, keep fighting. And maybe, just maybe, he would let Lincoln help him figure out the rest. The weeks turned into months, and the shelter became more than a stopping place for Isaac. It became the unlikely backdrop for his slow rebuilding. Lincoln was there almost every day, his steady presence a quiet anchor. They fell into a routine, sharing meals, talking late after shifts, trading stories that peeled back layers of pain both had carried alone for too long. Isaac landed a part-time job at a downtown cafe, wiping tables and learning to smile through the exhaustion. The pay was small, but it was his, and that mattered more than the money. One rainy afternoon, Lincoln found Isaac in the resource room staring at a community college brochure. Thinking about going back? Lincoln asked, sliding into the chair beside him. Isaac shrugged. I dropped out after the first semester back home. Dad said college was a waste if I wasn't going to make something of myself. Guess being gay disqualified me from that too. Lincoln nodded, understanding flickering in his eyes. I felt the same way once. But I finished my degree at night while crashing on friends' couches. You could do it too. I'll help with the applications if you want. That offer opened a door Isaac hadn't dared knock on. Together they filled out forms, Lincoln explaining financial aid options, patient through every question. Isaac chose nursing not because he had always dreamed of it, but because helping people felt like the opposite of the rejection he had known. The paperwork was just the start. Evenings became study sessions at the shelter's small library, Lincoln quizzing him on anatomy terms while they shared cheap pizza. Isaac's confidence grew in tiny increments, each past practice test a quiet victory against the voice in his head that still sounded like his father. Yet the internal storm never fully quieted. Nights when Lincoln wasn't on shift, Isaac lay awake, replaying old family moments, the baseball games, the holiday dinners, now tainted by the knowledge that none of it had been unconditional. He wondered if his mother had tried to contact him, if his brother missed him. The guilt of leaving without goodbye mixed with anger until tears came unbidden. One such night, Lincoln found him on the roof. Access the shelter allowed for quiet reflection. You're spiraling again, aren't you? Lincoln said, sitting close enough that their shoulders touched. Isaac wiped his face. I keep thinking maybe I should have stayed silent. Pretended. At least I'd still have a family. Lincoln's voice was gentle but firm. Pretending would have killed you slowly, Isaac. I tried that for years and it almost broke me. The real family, the one that matters, is the one you build. People who see you and stay. Their eyes met in the dim city glow, and something unspoken passed between them, a warmth that went beyond friendship. Isaac felt his pulse quicken but pushed the feeling down, afraid to name it. Friendship deepened anyway. Lincoln introduced Isaac to a small support group for LGBTQ youth at the community center. The first meeting was terrifying, faces of strangers, all carrying their own scars. But listening to others share stories of coming out, of rejection, of eventual peace, gave Isaac a new perspective. He spoke for the first time about his father's words, and the room nodded in understanding. Lincoln sat beside him, a silent pillar of support. Afterward, they walked back to the shelter under streetlights, Lincoln's hand brushing Isaac's, accidentally sending sparks through both of them. Work at the cafe brought its own challenges. A regular customer once overheard Isaac mention his boyfriend from college in passing and muttered something under his breath. Isaac froze, the old shame rising fast. That night he told Lincoln everything, the words tumbling out in a rush of frustration. "I hate that one comment can still make me doubt myself." Lincoln listened, then shared his own workplace stories from early days. "It never completely goes away, but you learn to carry it lighter. And you've got me in your corner now." The simple statement settled something deep inside Isaac. For the first time, he allowed himself to imagine a future where love wasn't a secret, where he wasn't alone in the fight. As winter approached, the shelter grew busier with holiday crowds. Isaac volunteered extra hours, helping serve meals, his nursing studies fitting around the schedule like a second skin. Lincoln watched him with quiet pride one evening after a long shift. "You're not the same guy who walked in here months ago," he said. Isaac smiled, for real this time. "I wouldn't be here without you, Lincoln." The air between them felt charged with possibility, but neither rushed to name it. The friendship was precious, fragile, and growing roots that would soon reach deeper than either expected. Spring brought longer days and the first real test of the bond forming between Isaac and Lincoln. Isaac had aced his entrance exams and started online classes part-time, the scholarship Lincoln helped secure covering books and fees. The cafe promoted him to shift supervisor, a small raise that let him dream of his own apartment someday. Life was moving forward, yet the past refused to stay buried. A letter arrived one afternoon, forwarded from his old address. His mother's handwriting on the envelope made Isaac's hands shake. He read it alone on the shelter steps, the words blurring through tears. She missed him, she wrote. His father was still angry, but she hoped he was safe. No apology, no invitation home, just a quiet plea to write back. Isaac stared at the page for hours, the old longing crashing against the new strength he had built. That evening he showed Lincoln the letter. "What do I even say?" he asked, voice raw. Lincoln sat close, their knees touching. "Whatever feels true. You don't owe them forgiveness, but you don't have to carry the silence either." The conversation stretched late into the night, and somewhere between shared coffee and quiet confessions, the line between friendship and something more blurred. Isaac spoke of the loneliness that had followed him since childhood, the fear of never being enough. Lincoln listened, then opened up about his own first love, the boy who had left when things got hard. "I promised myself I wouldn't run again," Lincoln said, meeting Isaac's eyes. "Not from someone worth staying for." The words hung between them, heavy with meaning. Isaac reached out his hand, finding Lincoln's fingers warm and steady. The touch was simple, yet it felt like coming home. Their first real date happened on a rare day off. Lincoln took Isaac to a small park on the edge of the city, where cherry blossoms were just beginning to bloom. They walked side by side, talking about everything and nothing, the easy rhythm of their steps matching perfectly. When Lincoln stopped under a tree and turned to face him, Isaac's heart raced. "I've been wanting to tell you something," Lincoln said softly. "These months with you have been the best of my life. I'm falling for you, Isaac, if you'll have me." Isaac's answer came in the form of a tentative kiss under the petals, gentle and full of promise. No fireworks, no dramatic music, just two men choosing each other in the quiet light of day. The weeks that followed were filled with stolen moments, hand-holding in the shelter, hallway, late-night talks about dreams. Isaac felt himself blooming under Lincoln's care, the shame that had defined him slowly giving way to pride. Yet happiness rarely comes without challenge. An old friend from Oak Ridge tracked Isaac down through social media, sending a message full of judgment. "Your dad's telling everyone you ran off because you're sick. Maybe you should come home and fix this." The words reopened old wounds. Isaac showed Lincoln the message, anger and hurt mixing in his chest. "He's still ashamed of me." Lincoln read it, then pulled Isaac into a hug. "People like that don't get to define you. We decide who we are now." The misunderstanding came a week later when Lincoln took a call from a shelter donor without telling Isaac the full story. Isaac overheard fragments and assumed Lincoln was leaving for a better job, abandoning him like everyone else. Hurt flared fast and Isaac pulled away, retreating into silence. Lincoln noticed immediately and confronted him gently that night. "I'm not going anywhere," he said. "That call was about funding for the youth program so more guys like you can have a safe place. I turned down the other offer because I want to be here with you." The apology and explanation melted the fear. Isaac realized how deeply he had come to trust Lincoln, how the relationship had become his new foundation. They sat together on the roof again, hands linked, watching city lights. "I love you," Isaac whispered the words, freeing something inside him. Lincoln smiled, pressing their foreheads together. "I love you too. And we're going to face whatever comes next together." Summer brought heat waves and deeper tests. Isaac's nursing program moved to in-person clinicals requiring long hours and new uniforms he could barely afford. Lincoln picked up extra shifts to help cover costs, never complaining, just showing up with coffee and encouragement. Their love grew through small acts, Isaac cooking simple meals in the shelter kitchen, Lincoln editing Isaac's papers late at night. The shelter staff noticed the change in both men, the way they moved as a unit, the quiet strength they gave each other. A crisis hit when Isaac's mother called unexpectedly. Her voice was shaky on the line. "Your father had a heart scare. The doctors say it's stress. He won't admit it, but I think he misses you." Isaac froze, the old guilt surging. Lincoln sat beside him, holding his hand through the call. After hanging up, Isaac paced the small room. "I can't just go back. Not after everything." Lincoln listened, then spoke carefully. "You don't have to decide today. But maybe this is your chance to close the chapter on your terms." The conversation sparked weeks of internal debate. Isaac's progress in school and at work clashed with the pull of family duty. Lincoln supported every angle, never pushing, only asking questions that helped Isaac clarify his own heart. One evening, after a particularly emotional therapy session at the community center, Isaac made his choice. "I want to go back eventually. Not to beg forgiveness, but to show them I'm okay, that being gay didn't ruin me. And I want you with me." Lincoln's smile was soft and proud. "Then we go together when you're ready." Misunderstandings still tested them. A former shelter resident spread rumors that Lincoln had helped Isaac only because of favoritism. The gossip reached Isaac at work, leaving him doubting everything for a day. He confronted Lincoln after shift, voice tight with hurt. "Was any of this real, or was I just another project?" Lincoln's face fell, but he answered calmly, pulling out old emails and notes. "Every moment with you has been real. I fought for that funding because of you, because I believe in the man you're becoming." The proof and the steady love behind it dissolved the doubt. Isaac apologized, and they spent the night talking through the fear, reaffirming their commitment. Sacrifice came in small but meaningful ways. Lincoln turned down a promotion that would have moved him to another city, choosing instead to stay and support Isaac's final semester. Isaac in turn took on extra clinical hours to help pay for Lincoln's mother's medical bills, a quiet act of love that surprised even him. Their relationship deepened through these choices, each giving without keeping score. The shelter that had once felt like rock bottom now felt like the place where they had built something unbreakable. As fall leaves turned, Isaac received his first clinical evaluation, praise from his instructor for compassion under pressure. He brought the report home to Lincoln, beaming. "I couldn't have done this without you." Lincoln pulled him close. "You did the work. I just walked beside you." In that moment, Isaac understood the true meaning of partnership, two men choosing each other through every storm, choosing growth over bitterness, choosing love over fear. The decision to return came after another call from home. Isaac's sister was getting married in spring, and his mother begged him to attend. "Your father's changed a little," she said. The heart scare scared him. "He talks about you sometimes." Isaac discussed it with Lincoln late into the night, weighing the risks. "I'm not the scared kid who left anymore," Isaac said. "I want them to see who I've become. And I want them to meet you." Lincoln agreed, the love in his eyes steady. "Then we go together. No hiding." Preparation took months. Isaac finished his nursing certification, landing a job at a Pittsburgh hospital, the first real step toward independence. They saved every extra dollar, bought simple suits for the wedding. The shelter threw them a small going-away party, the staff and residents who had become friends clapping as Isaac and Lincoln hugged. Leaving felt bittersweet, the place that had saved them now a chapter closing. The drive back to Oak Ridge was quiet at first, both men lost in thought. As the city gave way to familiar fields, Isaac's hands tightened on the wheel. Lincoln reached over, resting a hand on his knee. "Whatever happens, I'm right here." The words anchored Isaac through the miles. They stopped at a roadside diner for coffee, talking about the future, the apartment they would share, the life they would build. Lincoln's calm presence turned fear into determination. Arriving in Oak Ridge felt surreal. The town looked smaller, the streets unchanged, yet Isaac saw them with new eyes. They checked into a modest motel on the edge of town, deciding to face family the next day. That night they lay together, talking softly about the journey, the shelter nights, the growth, the love that had carried them. Isaac traced Lincoln's hand. "I never thought I'd come back like this, proud of who I am." Lincoln smiled. "You earned it." The first meeting was with his mother at a neutral cafe. She hugged Isaac, tears flowing, then turned to Lincoln with cautious warmth. "Thank you for taking care of my boy." The conversation was careful, no grand apologies, but small bridges built. Isaac shared stories of school, his job, the man beside him. His mother listened, nodding slowly. "Your father's waiting at home. He's nervous too." The town buzz began almost immediately. Old neighbors spotted Isaac and Lincoln walking hand in hand, the whispers spreading like wildfire. Isaac felt the stares, but Lincoln's steady grip reminded him of his worth. They attended the rehearsal dinner together, Isaac introducing Lincoln to cousins and friends. Some reactions were cold, others surprised but polite. The real test waited at the family home the next morning. Isaac's father opened the door, looking older, friendlier. The silence stretched until Isaac spoke. "Dad, I'm home. This is Lincoln, the man I love." The words hung in the air, heavy with years of pain. His father's eyes flicked between them, then he stepped aside. "Come in." No embrace, no apology, yet the invitation was a start. Inside the living room, the conversation was halting, Isaac laying out his journey, his growth, his choice to return not for approval but for peace. Lincoln stood beside him, silent support. The wedding day arrived bright and crisp, the whole town turning out for the celebration. Isaac and Lincoln sat near the front, Isaac's mother insisting on it. His father watched from across the aisle, eyes unreadable. During the reception, the music swelled and Isaac pulled Lincoln onto the dance floor. They moved together slowly, the stares from old neighbors fading into background noise. For the first time, Isaac felt truly free. Later, his father approached them on the patio, voice rough. "I was wrong about a lot of things," he said, looking at the ground. "Seeing you like this, happy, strong, it's made me think." The words weren't perfect, but they were honest. Isaac nodded, the years of hurt easing just a fraction. "I'm not asking you to understand everything, Dad. Just to let me live my life." His father met his eyes, then extended a hand. Lincoln shook it first, then Isaac, the gesture small but monumental. The town's reaction rippled outward. Some families invited them for coffee, others kept distance. Isaac and Lincoln stayed a week longer, helping with house repairs and sharing meals. Stories spread of Isaac's nursing job, Lincoln's work with at-risk youth. By the time they packed the car to leave, a few neighbors waved goodbye, the shock turning slowly to reluctant respect. Driving away, Isaac looked in the rearview mirror at the shrinking town, then at Lincoln beside him. "We did it," he said, voice full of wonder. Lincoln smiled, taking his hand. "We built something better than what we left behind." The road stretched ahead toward their new apartment, their shared future. Isaac felt the last chains of shame fall away, replaced by quiet pride. The journey from shelter to homecoming had changed everything, not just for him, but for the town that had once turned its back. True or false? Can the love between two men truly heal the deepest wounds of family rejection and change an entire town's heart forever?